second child was on the way. My wife and I attended a pre-birth class aimed at couples who had already had at least one child. The instructor raised the issue of breaking the news to the older child. It went like this. Some parents, she said, tell the older child, we love you so much we decided to bring another child into the family. But think about that, ladies. If your husband came home one day and said, honey, I love you so much, I decided to bring home another wife. One of the women in the class spoke up immediately. Does she cook? Married life almost went on the rocks because of the presence in the household of great Aunt Ethel. Sorry, apologies to anyone named Ethel. For 17 long years she lived with them, always crotchety, always demanding. Eventually the old gal passed away, and on the way back from the cemetery the husband confessed to his wife, darling, if I didn't love you so much, I don't think I would have put up with having your great Aunt Ethel in the house all those years. His wife looked at him aghast. My great Aunt Ethel. A king was running low on cash. Desperate for money, he began selling his possessions. Finally, he was down to the star of the Euphrates. At the time, it was the most valuable diamond in the world. Reluctantly, the king took it to a pawnbroker. The pawnbroker offered him 100,000 dinars. The king was outraged. I paid 1,000,000 dinars for it, he said. Don't you know that I'm the king? The pawnbroker replied, when you wish to pawn a star, it makes no difference who you are. Yeah, he's going to be telling that tomorrow. A guy was invited to an old friend's home for dinner. His buddy preceded every request to his wife by endearing terms, calling her honey, my love, darling, sweetheart, pumpkin, and so on. The guy was impressed, since he knew the couple had been married almost 70 years. And while the wife was off in the kitchen, he said to his buddy, I think it's wonderful that after all these years you've been married, you still call your wife those pet names. And his buddy hung his head and says, to tell you the truth, I forgot her name about 10 years ago. I'm just the messenger. A woman was having a passionate affair with an inspector from a pest control company. One afternoon, they were carrying on in the bedroom together when her husband arrived home unexpectedly. Quick, said the woman, into the closet, and she pushed him into the closet stark naked. The husband, however, became suspicious, and after a search of the bedroom, discovered the man in the closet. Who are you? He asked him. I'm an inspector for Bugs Be Gone, said the exterminator. What are you doing in there? The husband asked. I'm investigating a complaint about an infestation of moths, the man replied. And where are your clothes? Asked the husband. The man looked down at himself and said, whoa, it's worse than I thought. Approached an attractive younger woman at a shopping mall. Excuse me, I can't seem to find my wife. Can you talk to me for a couple of minutes? Well, the woman, feeling a bit of compassion for the old fellow, said, of course, sir. Do you know where your wife might be? He says, I have no idea, but every time I talk to a woman who looks like you, she seems to appear out of nowhere. Morning, the pastor noticed little Alex standing in the foyer of the church, staring up at a large plaque. It was covered with names with small American flags mounted on either side of it. The 7-year-old had been staring at the plaque for some time, so the pastor walked up, stood beside the little boy, and said quietly, Good morning, Alex. Good morning, Pastor, he replied, still focused on the plaque. Pastor, what is this? He asked. The pastor said, well, son, it's a memorial to all the young men and women who died in the service. And soberly, they just stood together staring at the large plaque, and finally little Alex's voice, barely audible and trembling with fear, said, which service? The 8:30 or 11? After being married for 44 years, I took a careful look at my wife one day and said, honey, 44 years ago we had a cheap apartment, a cheap car, slept on a sofa bed, and watched a 10-inch black and white TV. But I got to sleep every night with a hot 25-year-old gal. Now I have $1 million home, a $45,000 car, nice big bed and plasma screen TV, but I'm sleeping with a 65-year-old woman. It seems to me that you're not holding up your side of things. My wife is a very reasonable woman. She told me to go out and find a hot 25-year-old gal, and she would make sure that I would once again be living in a cheap apartment. The mother answered, God made Adam and Eve, and they had children, and so was all mankind made. 2 days later, the girl asked her father the same question. The father answered, many years ago, there were monkeys from which the human race evolved. The confused girl returned to her mother and said, Mom, how is it possible you told me the human race was created by God, and Dad said we developed from monkeys? And the mother answered, well, dear, I told you about my side of the family.